I just love Moon Knight. I love every single aspect of this show. It will be the best of the best in the MCU for the shows. I don't know how it's going to rank among all 27 films yet, because we do have to get to that finale. Hey guys, and welcome back to Canon Cinema. I'm Amanda, otherwise known as AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Today, I will be reviewing Moon Knight, Episode 1. I just wanted to give a huge shout out to Disney and Marvel for giving me the opportunity to watch the first 4 episodes to review for you lovely, lovely people. Now, going into Moon Knight, I have no idea what I was getting myself into. I knew nothing about the God of the Moon, about Khonshu, about Mark Spector, about Stephen Grant. I knew nothing about these characters, and I'm so happy I went in blind, because now this show has made me want to go read the comics for Moon Knight. He is one of the most interesting characters in the MCU. And we are so blessed to have a very skilled actor in Oscar Isaac taking on a dual role and dealing with Khonshu, who is pretty damn scary. And we get to see that in this first episode. This episode sets the tone for the whole series. And because I watched the first 4 episodes, this one has a lot of setup, but it doesn't feel like it's overstuffed, because you're trying to figure out the puzzle pieces of Stephen Grant's mind, who we meet in London working at the museum. And I think it's really interesting to see him explore what's happening in his own body while the audience is trying to figure it out as well. So I thought that was really smart choice for them to kind of wrap it up in that way and to set up the missing puzzle pieces and the fragments in Stephen Grant's mind. So I think that this opening was really strong. I absolutely love that we started with a different character. We didn't see who he was, but we get to know Stephen Grant right off the cuff, and that's really important. Now, this is going to be a spoiler-free review. I can talk about it without spoiling. We've seen a lot of the things in the trailers. Regardless, if you have avoided the trailers, I'm sorry. I'm going to talk about this show. What I love the most about this first episode is that we meet Stephen Grant as this really timid, reserved, kind of clumsy person, doesn't really know what's going on. Stephen Grant does have dissociative identity disorder, which is also tied into Mark Spector, and they do explore that in a different way. It's not in your face labeling it as such. It's more of an exploration of the character and his mind and the psychology of it, to really just sit with this character and see the complexities and the layers slowly kind of peek out, and we understand him as a person. I think that's really important. Even as a Marvel hero, I think that's really important to make that connection and to have that exploration. So we pretty much see a day in the life of Stephen Grant. He gets ready, he gets out of bed, we see him in bed, he kind of jolts up and he has his ankle tied to the bedpost, and it's just small things like that. There's tape sealing the door that we see, and it's also in the trailers. I'm not spoiling anything, but this is really character focused, more so than other MCU shows. And I know everyone's gonna be like, WandaVision's character driven, but this is completely different. You really just sit in his mind. As we see in this episode, he's like transported to different settings and locations, and I think it was really well done, because he's basically afraid to go to sleep, and that's what we see in this very first scene, which is really interesting. So like I said, we get a slice of life from Stephen Grant. We see what he does daily, how he gets ready, how he goes to work, how he has social interactions, who he wants to become. This person wants to be, in a relationship or has friends to go out with and all of that. So we just see him walking around, going through the motions of what he does every single day in a short period of time. It's not like it drags. I think the most impressive thing about Moon Knight, after watching the first 4, and I'm just reviewing the first one for you guys ahead of the premiere tomorrow, it's that this show has the best pacing of any MCU show. And I know that has been a massive issue in other shows, especially with 6 episodes, but I feel like this one's just so clean cut and polished, and they knew the story that they wanted to tell. You're just so interested in Stephen Grant, and I love that because they make him kind of relatable, a down-to-earth type of character, a person that is struggling with his own identity, and then he hears these voices. He's tied to the archaeology, he's tied to the lore, he's tied to the Egyptian lore, he's tied to all of that, and he doesn't know what's happening to him. It's one of the best MCU shows. This could possibly edge out like Loki for me, because that's been my number one right now. And then obviously Falcon and the Winter Soldier is a special place in my heart, as you all know. But Moon Knight as a whole, as a well-rounded series, I think this will be the best one because it's most polished. The direction's really, really strong. I absolutely love what Diab did with the action sequences, with the transitions. They're really quick cuts, and the camera's constantly moving when it's an action sequence. And I really love that because you kind of get a sense there's more than one person present. The quick cuts, and for it to be so jarring between transitions and characters, and being kind of disoriented with Stephen Grant or with Mark Spector or with Khonshu, I think that the trinity of them just works so well with the transitions in this direction. I think they did a great job with it because there's different ways to show that people are speaking to you or a higher being is speaking to you. And I think they did a great job with that. But with Diab, he really built this anticipation throughout the entire episode. Like, I was worried about Stephen Grant. Your eyes will be glued to that screen to see what you pick up. The lighting is great. The shadows are kind of peeking through, and you're waiting to see if someone's going to pop out. Who's going to pop out? Is it going to be Khonshu? You're going to see his headgear. Are you going to see Mark Spector? You don't know, but you're waiting for it. And the anticipation builds in episode 1. And that's what I love the most about this. It's all set up for Stephen Grant and his mind. You get to sit in there with him. And I think that the cinematography is great. I love the action sequences. As I said, there's a lot that you can do with this character. I was kind of taken aback with how much they fit in 40 minutes, but it didn't feel rushed. Again, it didn't feel like they're trying to pack everything in, trying to get the audience to make sense of everything that's happening. It's like, this is a ride and we're going to enjoy it. I think that's one of the many reasons why I love Moon Knight. Nothing was dragging, and the character is actually really interesting. And I think that comes with him being someone new in the MCU, because I felt the same way watching Shang-Chi. I didn't feel that way for Eternals, unfortunately, but I was just so excited for a new character, and the focus that they put on Stephen Grant is just so strong of a lens, and I really appreciate that. And the character is well written. He's very complex and layered, and we get to explore that in the other episodes. Episode 1, the action sequences, it is a bit more gory than other shows, and I'm really happy about that. We get to see it without seeing it, and I love that Diab did that. I thought that that was such a smart move to show the duality of the character, of what Oscar Isaac is capable of. I thought it was genius. That elevator scene that we've seen in the trailers really hit different in context of this episode, especially seeing Khonshu, who looks so menacing, but this also works with the MCU type of humor, but it's tied into who Stephen Grant is, and it's not cheesy. It's not like dumb punchlines. It's more of like the humor is with the character instead of like the exterior of like, we need to make this guy funny. It's not like that. It's just Oscar Isaac being Stephen Grant. And I think that that's really important too with this character. I think that people are going to fall in love with Stephen Grant. I love him as a character. I'm more of a Mark Spector person, but that's going to be in later episodes. But I just love Moon Knight. I love every single aspect of this show. It will be the best of the best in the MCU for the shows. I don't know how it's going to rank among all 27 films yet, because we do have to get to that finale, and I really hope that that finale sticks to landing. But episode 1 sets up everything. We also get to see a lovely Ethan Hawke as Arthur Harrow. There's that air of mystery that comes with Ethan Hawke alone. I mean, he's an absolute genius, and I love that he took on this role. And you don't know what he's capable of until later on, but they set it up quite nicely in this one, as I said. So to see Ethan Hawke, to see Oscar Isaac, they have a great chemistry, even in this first episode. I know that Arthur Harrow is going to be one of the best characters, everyone's favorite character, alongside Stephen Grant. I think a lot of people are going to really love this show because it's very different. It's so different and it's refreshing, and it does not feel like your typical MCU show or movie. It is not formulaic whatsoever. This changes the game for television series. It changes the game for storytelling in the MCU as well. And it just changes the game for all of these characters that are being introduced. This is just different and it's unique, and Mohamed Diab really understood Moon Knight and Stephen Grant and Mark Spector and Khonshu. So Moon Knight episode 1, I give a 4 out of 5. I thought it was set up quite well. Wasn't overstuffed, pacing was great. The action sequences and what Diab showed off with the trinity of these characters early on, we don't really get confirmation of certain things, but the suspense is there. He builds the anticipation, and that's the most important thing heading into episode 2. So if you guys enjoyed this review, please like and subscribe. You can always follow me over at AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. I really can't wait to talk about Moon Knight for the next 5 weeks with you awesome people. I'll catch you guys next time. Keep watching movies.